Yo, bro, this is Insidious Purple, and I am back doing another character showcase. Yeah, I was in the character customization options, but particularly this is after the 1.06 update that came out recently. Okay, so it actually came out yesterday on Wednesday today. This recording is Thursday. Okay, so there's a lot of different buffs and stuff like that that they added to the game. A lot of alterations. Um, basically, um, what's important for this guy is that they finally fixed the assault turret cryo ammo, and they buffed explosions. That's what's important for the Krogan engineer. Now we're gonna go through real quickly. Um, the basic thing about this guy is he can do both tech explosions and fire explosions. So overload is very important. Originally, I had him spec'd into rage, and if you get this bonus modifier, I'm sorry, her, it's a female Krogan. All right, give me a break. She can do a lot of melee damage with this, but I hear that they nerfed melee damages, so I don't know how good melee damage is going to be anymore. So I completely spec'd out of that. And this character's squishy regardless. Let me see. Like on the rank, the only time you can get 30%, you can basically get a max of 30% shields in health. Right here. That's it. That's all you get. And that's not enough for this character, honestly. Um, okay, so going with overload, you already saw that. I go for recharge speed and max shield damage. Don't bother chaining. I don't really care about that. For the assault turret, I go for recharge speed. And they made it so that when this, when the turret will recharge after you throw it out, it's not gonna recharge. Um, it's not gonna recharge after it's destroyed. It'll recharge after it's thrown out. So that's a lot better. So once you throw it out, it starts to recharge, and then once it's fully recharged, then you can throw it out to a different location, and it offers a huge variety of strategy. And as you can see, it's 200% recharge speed. So they if you don't have it, then it's going to be 30 seconds. It used to be like 24 seconds recharge speed, but now it's 30 seconds. And if you get the, oh my goodness, my battery's low. Yeah. Yeah, 1 second. And if you get, like I was saying, if you get this 200 recharge speed, it reduces it to 10 seconds, as you can see right there, which is pretty dope, actually. And then I go for the Omni tool range. I do this mainly because it gives you tech recharge speed, a 35% bonus on that. And I think that's more important than doing damage with this thing. I go for cryo ammo just so it can freeze non-armored enemies, and it can also debuff a lot of the armored enemies as well. It doesn't really do much against shields. The alternative doesn't really do much against shields either, so I feel like this is a better deal. Incinerate, of course I gotta max this out. I go for radius, you know, I want to make sure I can hit as many enemies as possible. I'm trying to go for explosions, detonations, and I want to make sure I can affect as many enemies as possible. Obviously, I'm going to go for the incinerate detonation and armor damage because initial damage honestly isn't worth it. Now, here in the offensive tech, of course, I'm going for damage against armor. I really want to buff up my fire explosions. And then this is also a really good thing, elemental defense debuff, because since he's going to be doing a lot of explosions, you're going to use your overload, and then you're going to use your incinerate. Your incinerate will actually get a buff because you use overload beforehand, and then your tech explosions are going to do more damage. This this tech, I don't know if it's just him because he has this debuff here, but his explosions are really powerful. And of course, you want to make sure you get this. You gotta make sure you get that. Okay, so I don't buff. I completely didn't put anything in the rage. So I will see you guys in the gameplay. I'm using the Assure because it's actually pretty decent now in the engineering kit. You can basically use whatever ammo that you want to use with them. Alright, I'll see you guys in a bit.
Okay, here we are in the gameplay for the Krogan engineer. Alright, so without rage, this guy's going to be really flimsy. I'm going to let you guys know that I'm going to go down probably quite a few times. I mean, that's just the way it is. This character is pretty flimsy without any health regen. And I've tried it out, and the health regen build really does work. When your health is low, what it is basically is that last evolution allows it so that you automatically activate rage and your health starts regenerating. So all you have to do is take health, and then you're back up basically to full health. If you can't find any cover, then you're pretty much gonna go down just as usual though. So this still isn't a character you can run up and really get out in the front lines and actually literally wreck all the enemies. I mean, this is just not the type of character to do it with. But as you can see right here, like I said, I believe this character has the most powerful tech explosions and the most powerful fire explosions. You can get tech explosions off of this character only if you get the evolution where you can detonate combos with the incinerate. Now you can still do it with disruptor ammo, but if you want to do it with overload, all you have to do is zap them with overload, and then immediately after shoot out a incinerate, and it will absolutely decimate most enemy shields. Maybe sharpshooters will still have their shields, but it's not likely, and even if they do, it won't be enough to really hinder you from actually killing them and finishing them off. Okay, so as you see right here, I used the tech explosion on him, and you know what, matter of fact, because it's the Krogan engineer, his tech explosions might be powerful enough to just take out the shields and do a whole bunch of damage. As you guys saw there, I literally took out 75 to 80% of that sharpshooter's HP with one tech explosion. It's a tech explosion, alright? These are not supposed to do a lot of damage to health, but that tech explosion absolutely wrecked that sharpshooter, guys. You saw it yourself. You saw it right there, and it was absolutely amazing. This guy is really good for explosions. That's what you want to mainly use them for. This build that I have right here, basically this is just a camping build. Basically, I have no points in the rage at all, and I do have the cryo ammo. As you can see right there, it's doing work for me right there. But the main reason why I would have the turret is just to get the 30% increase in my recharge speed for my powers, so I can use them more. So basically, if you're camping in a room or something, or in a certain area, and you're with your teammates and they're attracting all the aggro, this build is amazing. You can really do you can do a lot of damage to enemies that are grouped up and to bosses. But if your teammates are just running around trying to fight and do their own thing by themselves, and they're not really trying to camp or try to work with you, then, well, you're on your own, and then enemies are going to swarm your area, and once you're forced to move out of your area, you're going to get wrecked. As you see in this gameplay, the only time I really start to get wrecked is when I'm forced to move from my location. that's when I get wrecked. As soon as I get out of my location, the enemy's got the auto aim, and they immediately, almost instantaneously, start shooting at me. My shields go down because I have no points into them, and I just get wrecked. I get taken down very quickly. And this is that type of character. It, just a really flimsy character and has low survivability. Not like he has, not like this character. It's not like she has. I'm sorry, it's a she. It's a female Krogan. I'm sorry. It's not like she has tactical cloak. She doesn't. You can't reduce the aggro. So once you're out in the middle of a bunch of enemies, then you're pretty much fucked. So I guess the best way to run this build is to hit and run, do a tech explosion, fire explosion, and then run your fucking ass off. Just get the hell out of there. Get out of there before the enemies even get to your location. That's a better option for this character. Alright? I mean, if you're going to play this build. Now, if you do the health build with the health regen, you might be able to stay a little bit long. You might have a little bit more options. If you're going to do that, I would definitely sacrifice the drone. The drone is definitely worth sacrificing. And if that's something you're not going to put points into, it should definitely be the drone. Honestly, I still think that Overload is still better off at level 4. And especially since he can do amazing tech explosions. That's only if you go for detonating the detonation on Incinerate rather than the double Incinerate. And honestly, I mean, it could be good if enemies are grouped together, but the only problem with Incinerate is that enemies can sidestep it. They can dodge it. I mean, you could make the argument that you could spread the basically you can set up the burn and then you can detonate a huge fire explosion. But another problem is I still don't believe you can. This is the way it used to be. This is the way I know it was before all these patches came out, but I don't know if it's still the case. You cannot set up fire explosions on enemies with shields. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot. If you're in a room full of enemies with shields and you use Incinerate, they're not going to be primed for fire explosions. And matter of fact, it's going to do very little damage if one of those Incinerates targets an enemy with shields. And that'll just be unfortunate, because this guy's main thing is that he does his explosions that he detonates and primes. They do a lot of damage, and he can do both tech and fire explosions. That's the specialty of this character, So I definitely still think that detonator would be the best. If you want to go for double Incinerate, I would say, well, I guess you can do it, but if you're gonna do that, it would be best with the outlaws. Definitely, the sharpshooters aren't as big in the outlaws, and there's a lot of armor, so I can see it being good there. As far as other factions, you have observers who have shields, and then you have the Ket who have 2 enemies with shields. Basically, I think it's the Anointed, and then I forgot the guy with the shotgun though. I forgot the name of that guy with the shotgun. Yeah, so yeah, that's a lot of those Incinerates are going to be wasted, unfortunately. Rather than that, you could be using Overload and then throwing out a Incinerate that has Detonator. You can detonate tech explosions and completely obliterate their shields. And then when your Incinerate comes back, you can prime them for a fire explosion. I just think that's better. But anyway, getting back to the point about Overload, I'd say leave that at 4, Overload, they buffed it. It's even more potent and more effective against shields now. So honestly, I would say use overload as a primer and then use the incinerate to detonate a tech explosion. And make sure you get all your combo explosion buffs. And man, you will wipe out a shield every single time with this guy. This guy's tech explosions are just absolutely monstrous. I mean, maybe, a destroyer would probably be the only shield that would actually be able to survive that, really. Because because a friend of mine told me that they have really high shields. It's a really high number. I haven't confirmed it myself, so that's why I don't want to put it out there or anything. But I think we can all say that from observation, the destroyers have ridiculously powerful shields. Anyway, yeah, leave overload at 4, and then put the rest of those points into the turret. Because what you want to do with that is that you want to get the recharge speed for the turret. Okay, so when you throw it out, then the recharge speed will come back, and then all you have to do is hold the button. All you have to do is hold L1 and R1 at the same time to cancel the drone where it's at, and then you can re-throw it out. And you can keep throwing out a distraction for the enemies. That way you can go ahead and attack enemies with your tech explosions and your fire explosions. That's the build. That's kind of what I'm doing with it right now. But this build works if you're in cover. Okay, so if you're in cover, this build really works. But like I said, that build is basically 4. What is it? It's overload, right? It'll be basically 4, 4, 6, 6, 6. That's the build. So 4 into overload, 4 into the turret, and then 6 for everything else. Otherwise, if you're going to use this build, you're going to need to hide and cover like I'm doing right now. Luckily, I found a really good spot to hide at, and my combo explosions are absolutely amazing, and it's decimating enemies as they come up to me. That's basically what I'm doing, is I'm just waiting for the opportunity. Basically, I'm waiting for my powers to recharge so I can use tech and fire explosions. I prefer the tech explosions because the enemies can't dodge overload. And then once they get hit by overload, they get stunned. It stuns the hell out of them. And then you can just shoot the incinerate and they can't dodge it. You see, if you go for the fire explosions, especially on Outcast, the enemies will just sidestep it. And it's really annoying. You just wasted your power then. Especially for a character that's as flimsy as the Krogan engineer. You miss your power, and then the enemy invades your space, then you're in to take a lot of damage. You might go down, So that's why that's important, Making sure that you get the combo explosion off. And the best thing to go for is the tech explosions. The tech explosions still do a lot of damage. You can have this weapon, the shear. There we go. You can use this weapon, the shear. It does quite a bit of damage, especially if you go for headshots. That's what it was meant to be. It's like the replacement Paladin from Mass Effect 3. Really, except it has a few less rounds. I think the Paladin could get up to 4 rounds. This one gets up to 3, I believe, with all the modifiers. And you could probably get more if you use the Turian soldier, because he gets ammo capacity. And you could probably get more if you have turbocharge on it, but turbocharge would be wasted on this weapon basically. So it's a pretty good weapon. Firing from cover does some moderate damage. It's mainly used for firing at range though. That's what I mainly use it for. It's good at firing at range, and it's good at it's sort of good at close combat, but you do tend to miss a lot with this weapon. Um, and it's basically for the same reason that it's good at far range, and it's because of its reticule. As you can see, it has a really tiny reticule right there, very precise, and if it's off by even a little bit, you will miss your shot. That will be a wasted shot. But it is well worth it though. And I have used this, and I do use this weapon on one of my other builds, the Sorry Huntress, and I'm going to be releasing a video for her as well. And the way I play her is, I don't know if anybody else plays her this way, but I'll show you guys the way I play her when I release that video. Alright, in a nutshell, I think the Krogan engineer, wow, is pretty, he's a really great character. Probably best for camping, to be quite honest. But if you have the rage build that I described to you in this video, where you have rage maxed out for health regeneration, and you take cover tactfully, you know, he'll be pretty good on the front lines with your teammates, not by herself. Have I been calling him this entire time? Yeah, it's a she. All right, so you guys are gonna have to give me some slack on that. She's not gonna be good on the front lines by herself. Don't try and solo gold with her. I mean, I know some of you, I know probably nobody thought about doing that with this character, but she's not gonna make it. You know, she's not gonna make it on the front lines by herself. Probably not even with just one of your teammates. You know, she will take a lot of damage and she will go down. And I don't know what happened to that enemy there. It just kind of, I don't know, teleported, went through the ground, and then it just popped up again. Some crazy shit. Anyway, that's my take on the Krogan engineer. Really good character, probably best for camping. This is a team player character, a support character, just like you would expect from an engineer. So you're gonna need your teammates to work with you. For you lone wolves out there, this isn't the character you probably want to use, unfortunately. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I like the Krogan engineer. Let me know what you guys, if you guys like the Krogan engineer as well. She's a pretty awesome character. If you like this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe if you want to see more videos from this channel. Alright, this has been Insidious Purple, and I am out. See you guys.